So normally when somebody sees something like that, the first two questions that come to mind are, what is that and why?
Doggy.
Now, TacPack is a subscription box that you can get set up for yourself or somebody that you know and love monthly that sets you up with gear that you might want, like, or need. I've seen one of these things before. This is the CAA MCK Gen 2. So basically what you do here is you take your existing Glock or your SIG, your M&P, H&K, whichever version you get, you can stick that thing up here and you get to reap the benefits of having a conversion setup like this for a couple of different reasons that we'll get into in just a minute. Well, now that you know the what is this thing, we'll start getting into the why. But before we really get into that, we've got to check this thing out, get a good look at it so you guys can see what this thing entails, what the options are, how it works, everything that comes with it, how to use this thing appropriately, and of course, most importantly to most of us out there, the price of this bad boy right here, because it could be cheap to some people and it could be not too cheap to others. And there are just a bunch of options. This thing is like a Cadillac. There's like 30 different trim lines to this thing, between whether you just want the chassis or whether you want like all the other options that CAA sells with it. And of course, we will talk about the range performance of this thing if I had any issues with it out there, and then my overall feelings on it and kind of, you know, what I feel about this thing now, because I've not always been so kind to these little micro conversions. When they first came out especially, but now that they've been out for a very long time, they've really kind of figured out those initial issues on the first several versions that came out. And I think I did I think it was the Recover Tactical one I did about a year and a half ago. And then when I saw this one, I reached out to CAA and they were cool enough to send it out because I was very interested to try this out now that they're on their second generation of it. So if this is your first time here, go ahead and get subbed up, get belled up, turn those notification icons on. And if you're into anything like this, you like what's going on here, go ahead and give this video a like at any point if you feel that I have deserved it. We're gonna go ahead and get into all of the specs on this stuff, give you guys a really good up close look at it, show you how it works. Before we do that, a huge shout out to all of my Patreons. You guys are absolutely awesome and I appreciate everything you do for me. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get into this conversion right now. All right, the CAA MCK right here. Now this is the Glock version. I currently have my Gen 5 45 in there, which is one of my favorite setups on the Glock platform. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the differences in this version compared to the 1.0, and then we'll get into how you put this thing all together. One of the biggest changes is you can now use this while it is in the folded position, and that is obviously a big positive. Up under here, the little gate right here that allows you to load your pistol in there. It cants back a little bit further, apparently about 15 degrees further back. It used to be like this, and it was kind of a pain in the butt to rock your pistol up in there. So definitely good thought right there. As far as the charging handle setup here goes, it's a little bit larger than it used to be, and it has far more surface area on the inside right there, where it actually makes contact with the serrations on the rear of your slide. It's also capable at this point of using suppressor height sights, and the way that they have redesigned it in there, it makes far more contact with your sights as well to give it more meat to grab onto. Moving forward into here, it's got an aluminum rail all the way across the top right there, which is a definite nice addition. Also has the ability, you can take the front section here out and it can take a 1.38 inch diameter suppressor. So if you're into running pistols suppressed, from the brace down to the business end right here, standard looking brace here, you have your strap, so you can use that as it is designed. Very solid. You're not gonna have to worry about that thing giving way on you at all. You have your single button here to go ahead and fold that over. And then you do have this tab right there on the side, a little bit of up pressure and it locks in right there, up pressure, and it pulls back out. There's your joint right there. You do have a polymer. The whole thing is polymer except for the rail right there. And then you do have metal fasteners in there. Up underneath, you do have a QD point right there. Should you choose to buy the additional kit that gives you their sling, or you can use whatever sling with a QD attachment as you wish. Moving forward from there, this is just all your connection points to the actual chassis itself. We discussed the locking mechanism. Let's get up in here into the front area where they have now given you the ability to actually work the slide with the slide stop slide release, or you can use the charging handle right there. Coming up in here, you can see that nice area where it locks into the trigger guard, covering that area up just enough to get your finger into. Standard magazine release in your current Glock setup. Moving forward from there, you'll kind of see we have these nice areas to get your fingers onto when you're actually holding this. Then you have these movable thumb releases right here based on which model you buy. And then those little polymer QD points, but it actually feels quite good there. You can really get a hold of that, and you can actually turn these from one side to the other because you do have different textures from one to the other. This side is going to be just a little bit more aggressive. You do get the option to have a light. That is their light kit. A single push gives you a low light, okay, and then a double push gives you 500 lumens, and it's just held in there with those little retention things right there. We do have a metal, as you can hear right there, a muzzle end right there, which is removable, allowing you to use a 1.38 inch suppressor. As you can see here, mine, I've got my Vortex Crossfire on this, which is just a budget optic that I love and I use a lot out there because I've just never had problems with it. Coming up into this area right here, you can see you have a good area for all of your spent casings to eject out of there so you don't have any problems. Plenty of room for ventilation and cooling up in here. Although I will say it does get quite dirty up in here, even though the muzzle end here is right up to this kind of extended protrusion here to allow everything to vent and exit that. Definitely gets a lot of buildup in there, so you're definitely going to have to clean that. As far as everything else goes on this, like I said, all of this surrounding area is polymer, but it does fit in here very solid. So the addition of this surface area back here makes a much more solid setup than the original ones. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that come in the box here. So we are going to get, depending on the options, you may get some flip up sights. They look very much like kind of oversized Magpul sights, and then the QD attachment as well. Of course, you're going to get your basic instruction booklets like you're going to get with anything else. And then depending on the version you get, you may also get the sling. And then you get a secondary charging handle setup right here. The one that was in this one is the one you want to go with because that's the one that gives you more surface area, works with these suppressor height sights, and is just going to give you the best overall feeling out there. You're also going to get a little CAA patch right there, a keychain if you're into having a keychain around with you. And then this is just the plug for where the actual light would go up there. So in all, not bad. Let's go ahead and talk about the performance out on the range, the cost of this thing, my overall feelings of this thing now having a few hundred rounds through it. And of course, look at some of the range flubs I did trying to make magazine exchanges quick on this. I don't know why, but I just kind of like flipping that thing out like that. It's out there, but it definitely was a ton of fun. All right, so now that all the range flubbery is out of the way here. So the overall feel of this thing is very good and very natural. I don't know why it looks kind of like futuristic-y to me almost. If you look at that, it kind of, the front end looks like that two-legged robot from RoboCop. I can't remember what the name of that thing is, leave it down below. But it feels solid. The only one issue that I did have was at some point I had a bad ejection and the casing was up in here. Got some video of it, I'll throw it in. But that was the only issue we had after putting a couple hundred rounds through it. Other than that, the thing ran flawlessly. Well, let's talk about the price on this because it's like all over the place. Like I said, it's like a Cadillac. There's like 30 different trim lines between the colors and the different options you can get. As you can see, I've got mine in that gray, but they had just a ton of different colors and they have it for different models. So whether you have a Glock, whether you have a SIG, whether you have an H&K, an M&P, and I think a couple others, but they were servicing a lot of different brands out there. Now, as far as the different options, depending on whether you wanted their sling or whether you wanted their optic or their light like that one, or the little thumb rest right here, they had different packages that ranged from, I think it was like 75 bucks all the way up to like 175. but the actual conversion kit itself, the little chassis here, was $275 as of the filming of this video. So my 3 favorite things about this are going to be the stability, the effectiveness, and like I said, again, just a lot of fun. Now my overall kind of feelings about this MCK Gen 2 from CAA here. So I have not always been nice to these things, and I'm gonna eat a little bit of crow on this one because I actually like it. For what it is, I think it does exactly what they market it as. A lot of fun, and I had 0 issues with it besides that one casing that got stuck up in there. And I think it's a cool little design, especially with the brace that folds over. You can pretty much fit this thing anywhere you're gonna wanna fit it. Carry it around with you, whether you're into that like truck life, van life, RV life, whatever you want, camping, hunting, fishing. This is just a nice little effective option that can give you a lot, especially with all the ammo you can carry all in one piece and not have to worry about a belt or something else with you. And if you want, you have the ability to have those QD sling points in it. So overall, I gotta say I'm pretty happy with the thing, and I was definitely not expecting that because I just didn't have high hopes for this, especially after testing some other ones that have been out there over the past like 3 to 5 years. Now coming full circle back to the why of this thing, there are a couple of different reasons. It's gonna give you more points of contact, it's gonna make you more accurate, and it can be extremely effective for what you are doing out there. And it already uses the pistol that you already have. So you don't have to go buying like an AR-9 setup or a pistol caliber carbine. You throw what you got in here and you can go to work with it. Now where this would shine is, say you have like an old trade-in Glock you bought when you used to be able to get them for like 250 bucks or something, for like a police trade-in or something. You could make sure that thing is good, throw it in here, leave it in there, and this could be your camping, hunting, fishing, truck setup, whatever you want, and it fits in most of the sling bags that I have. I carry like the DDT Assassin or the DDT Urban sling bag. There, it's not overly bulky, and you can pretty much carry it around concealed all day long. But as far as that price goes, that's really gonna be up to you guys. I dig it. I don't know if I would go with all the options because you can pretty much option this thing out the way you want it with exactly what you want if you just buy the kit alone. So if you have been thinking about it, the Gen 2 may be the way to go. I know there's a bunch of options out there for these things right now, but this is just one that I was really interested in getting my hands on after seeing a couple people out there with them and getting to play with it a little bit myself. I figured I would get one and just see how it went. And with all that said, that is what I have for you guys today. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Again, huge thank you to all of my Patreons. For the rest of you guys, make sure you are subbed up, get belled up, and turn those notification icons on. If you like what's going on here, or that bad boy right there, the RoboCop robot 2-legged thing that I can't remember the name of, give that video a like. You guys get out there and have some fun on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you guys on the next one.